I'm here with Jesse Howard. He is the serial entrepreneur. Jesse has a fascinating story to tell us about his journey in the footwear business and then in the real estate business. So Jesse,
Yes,
welcome.
That is true.
Welcome to My Company Story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Don.
So Jesse, let's start off telling us a little bit about the footwear business. You graduated from USC, and when you were in school, you had a partner, right? And tell us about that.
I had a partner, met him in a Writing 340 class at the Marshall School of Business. Became friends, and he kind of led me over to China and fell into the footwear business.
So what does that mean, fell into the footwear business? What did you guys do?
We started designing and manufacturing shoes, found a private label customer, and ended up being kind of connected with Steve Madden.
Mm-hmm.
Made a lot of shoes for Steve Madden in China. Shipped them over here to the U.S. for Steve Madden, and kept getting a few orders and went from there.
So you're in school, and your partner had a connection in China, right? With
Yep, Chinese guy. Yep.
Chinese guy had a manufacturing company over there. So you saw some at a trade show. How did you get involved in that?
We started with a trade show, and we had all different kinds of footwear. We had snow boots, work boots, men's shoes, women's shoes. It was kind of just a collage of footwear, and ended up focusing kind of on women's footwear.
Okay.
And that's how we kind of started, was in the women's private label business.
So someone who had a connection with Steve Madden, they had designs, and they said to you guys, hey, can you make these shoes for less money than we're buying now? You said, yep. And you started doing that, right?
Yeah, we stole the business basically. I don't know if I should say stole, but we took it from Brazil. They were manufacturing shoes out of Brazil. And, at the time I was, in China, and, I thought that we could make them a little bit cheaper than what Brazil was doing at the same quality. And sure enough, that's how we started. We were manufacturing very similar shoes, designs, at a price not much less, but cheaper than Brazil.
Right.
And that's kind of what launched the footwear business.
So that's running now, and you're doing that for a couple of years, and that's going pretty well. And then, but you have one customer, right?
Yeah, we've got one customer. It's a little nerve-wracking. So I kind of tell my partner, hey, Charles, we need to diversify a little bit here. I know the money's good in the private label business, but what these guys are doing is they've got a brand.
Right.
So I was like, hey, let's launch our own brand. So we, started a company called Matiko, M-A-T-I-K-O. You can check us out online at matikoshoes.com, or Urban Anthropology
Urban
Shopbot.com.
Outfitters. Yep.
So that's kind of the brand that we launched to kind of compensate for a one customer situation in the private label world, and so that's what I've been focused on, is the branded business.
And Matiko is a high-end woman's branded shoe.
It's a mid-tier, $150 retail price point on average.
Okay.
Steve Madden's, from $59 to $99 average, as an example.
Okay.
We're kind of like one notch above, and what I try to do is just put, like leather outsoles, leather insole, leather lining. So it just added a little bit more, quality and dollars to the unit, and it was kind of more specifically targeted for like the boutique, the brick and mortar boutique stores back in 2003, 2004.
So 2003, 2004
is when I started.
Yeah, that's when you started, and you're selling your brand into these hundreds of boutique stores that are all over the little neighborhoods.
All over the U.S.
All over the U.S.
Canada.
Doing well.
A little bit in Japan.
Right. At a parallel path, then, you're also making these shoes for Steve Madden.
Yeah.
For that guy, right?
For Steve Madden, Aldo, BB.
Right.
And basically they would like a design, and then they would say, hey, we want to put our label on that.
Got it.
So that's what the branded business was able to give us, is because they started seeing our designs and wanting to buy those designs and put their label on it.
So then what happened to that in the business that you first started then, the shoe business that went up, and you were doing great with the Steve Madden shoes, you had a designer working with on that, you started your own brand on the side, but what happened with that primary business, that first business?
The primary business kind of got like I thought, and that's why we started the branded business, was, I kind of lost control. It was, Steve Madden could go directly to the factories that I was using, or the other brand that was working for Steve Madden could go directly to the factory and basically cut me out of the loop, saving another $1 or so,
right?
Which was my profitability
Sure.
in the private label business.
So you started them going from Brazil to China, and they said, "Thanks very much, Jess. We're going to do it ourselves now," and they cut you out of it.
That's right. So I got cut out of the deal. probably didn't get all my money that I deserved, but you know, we got it done.
Yeah, good. So in the meantime, you're out of that business now, but now you're doing your private label business, and that's churning along, and you're selling to boutique stores all around the country, in Canada, and all over. And then what happened?
So what happened was, it was going well. I mean, I was pretty excited. It was a lot of work, a lot of travel. Always living out of a suitcase. But you know, between New York, Vegas, and China, that's, you know, in the airplane, that's pretty much where I was located for, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. What happened was, you know, in 2008, we kind of had the financial crisis thing. Stuff started kind of unwrapping, you know,
Right.
and I didn't really feel it until about, I think, 2012. I kind of noticed, you know, a lot of brick and mortar boutiques started dropping off. You know, I had 350 boutiques, and, you know, I've got a handful now. But they all started going out of business. And, you know, I kind of saw that. I felt the ripple in the water. And I said, hey, you know, I gotta do something else. You know, I love the shoe business. I love traveling, but I'm getting tired, and I gotta do something else.
Now, were they going out of business because of Amazon and because Big Box was coming in there, or what was going on in that marketplace?
Yeah, there was, definitely the .com was affecting brick and mortar. Definitely. And it was the start of Amazon. As an example, there was a lot of little, you know, Nasty Gal, shopbop.com, all these other little .coms, and those actually got consolidated and usually picked up and purchased by the larger guys. Zappos.com is an example. I mean, I remember going to selling shoes at Zappos, and we're like, .com, this guy's selling shoes online? You know what I mean? It was pretty crazy. We went to their little office in San Francisco, which they, you know, then moved to Vegas. And Vegas now he's pretty much owns, you know, Old Town, I guess, now, right? Which is pretty wild. I mean, I wish I was on his path, because my business didn't quite go like Zappos. But, but .com was a very interesting situation, and definitely affected our, you know, our brick and mortar stores. I mean, it just, you know.
So your customers all of a sudden are just not selling as much. They're not buying as much from you, and so your sales in that secondary path now of your own brand, that starts to take a real
decline.
Yeah. So then, what did you do? What did you figure out then, or what direction did you take then?
Well, I like real estate, and I had a neighbor who ended up being my partner, Marshall Pumphrey. He's a great guy, and he always had an Aloha shirt on, and always had time to, you know, bullshit. You know, I mean, and I was like, man, what does this guy do, Don? I'm like, you know, like, man, I wish I had that much time, because I'm always flying around all over the world, China, Vegas, New York, and I'm like, you know, I'm making money, I'm making okay money, but, you know, it's like, man, I want that time.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm working really hard for my money.
And I'm like,
and Marshall's over here in a Aloha shirt and a drink.
Shirt. Yeah. And I'm just trying to figure it out. And so, you know, he's a neighbor. I said, Marshall, like, what the hell do you do? He's like, well, you know, Jess, I was a salesman at TWA. I was like, all right, so, you know, we got some similarities here. You know, both salesmen. I'm a shoe salesman, right?
Yeah.
Thank God I'm a shoe salesman. You know, just to put a touch on it, my wife, you know, is probably the best sell I've ever made. You know, it all came out of the shoe business. But
we can all say that.
But anyways, back to Marshall. You know, he was a TWA salesman, and he got into real estate. You know, I think his first house, he was 26 years old. He bought his first real estate, and he kept buying and selling, or buying and saving, and kept buying. And you know, we kind of had a short conversation. He said, "Hey, Jess, what do you think about getting into a fourplex?" And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. You know, I definitely want to do something different than shoes."
Right.
And he gave me the opportunity to get into this fourplex. He's like, let's go 50-50. And I'm thinking, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. He's done it for years. He makes money. He's got time to hang out. He's wearing an Aloha shirt.
Yeah.
And
he's your role model.
I'm like, you know, I want to be like Marshall. So he's like, let's partner up. And I said, sure. And I'm like, well, what do we need? He's like, well, you know, this guy called me on this place up on 6th Street here in Long Beach, and you know, I think it's a pretty good price. And I was like, okay, you know, all right, Marshall, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we ponied up the dollars for the deposit, and we got a loan on it, and it worked out. And, you know, that was the first property I bought with Marshall and his wife, Roxanne. Great partners.
And that was in 2012.
2012. And, you know, I didn't really know the real estate market. I didn't know the cycle of it. You know, I didn't know that
It was a good time to buy real estate.
I didn't know it was such a great time to buy, but I guess I kind of lucked out. So there's a little luck involved for sure. You know, I like to say, you know, there's more smarts than luck, but there was definitely some luck involved on that situation.
Right.
And we looked across the street, and there was another building for sale. And I said, now that's really what I want to own, Marshall. It was, you know, we just bought a fourplex. So we looked across the street, and there's a 25 unit complex, and I was like, man, that's the kind of level I want to be on. You know, I want something taller and bigger and more units.
Now, hold on a minute. Let me take a break. How old are you now, and how old was Marshall?
Roughly
at that time.
So I'm 30. I'm early 30s, 32.
32 at that time, and Marshall's in his maybe late 50s at that time.
Yeah, his early 60s. Yeah, he's 66 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a few decades ahead of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you guys look at the across the street and you say, looks good.
Looks good. And my brother was like, Jess, this thing looks real good. He's my younger brother. He worked with me in the footwear business. He liked it. I call it the Jesse gut check. And I had a good, feeling about the building. A lot of my buddies at the time were like, you're crazy, Jess. Like, the market's going to go down.
Oh,
It's in the ghetto. And I said, I don't know. I just, I think it's a good deal. I think it's a good deal. And, I rolled the dice and put everything on, everything I had on this one big 25-unit building.
Wow. All right. So but you're all in on the.
I'm all in.
You're all in on the
I
big building.
pushed all my chips, and I'm not that much of a gambler. I'm a hard worker, but I typically don't like to gamble. Like, I don't gamble in Vegas or anything like that.
Yeah, you're an entrepreneur.
But
you gamble every day.
I guess, but I just I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't like gambling as it is. But
I get it. But what's happening now with the shoe business? So you're now investing in real estate with Marshall. It's 2012. The shoe business is
the shoe
maintaining its own.
It's floating along. My wife actually works with me in the footwear business. She kind of runs that. She's the logistic queen, and she was one of the head persons at Paper Denim and Cloth, which was a denim company. And I was able to kind of get her over to my side of the fence, or my business, the footwear business, for probably half as what she was making in the denim business.
She took a cut and pay.
She took a cut and pay, but I lucked out and got her, and so she's kind of helped me with that. And it's maintained the footwear business. Pays the bills. It pays our health care.
Okay.
We get a little salary. I get a W-2 from it, which helps, in the real estate business. So that's kind of my biggest problem is the W-2, right? My W-2 is not that big.
Right.
So it's hard for me to borrow money.
Oh, sure.
So because entrepreneurs, we try not to pay ourselves too much, right?
And not much taxes.
Right. So that's the one thing I don't like to pay a lot of taxes, but you do have to pay something, and
sure.
and you got to prove something to the bank to get the loan. So
right.
Anyhow.
Yeah. So you got a little money coming in, or a little money. I mean, you have money
Little
coming in,
money.
paying yourself, got health insurance. That's going okay. But you're looking over here at the real estate thing, going, that's where I want to be.
That's where I want to be. And Don, I kind of looked at it. I was like, hey, look at it. I'm selling these little boxes, and they're filled with shoes, and they're little shoe boxes. And I said, you know what? I like the shoe boxes. I like shoes, but I like a little bit bigger box. I like boxes that I can put people in. And so kind of fit the mold. And I was like, hey, this is beautiful. And I've got little boxes with people in it, and they're paying me money every month.
Right.
It's like Marshall says, it's mailbox money, Jesse.
Mailbox money.
Don't work too hard. He always tells me I'm working too hard, and I need to have passive income.
Yep.
So
that's what that is. It's passive income. You got money coming in.
So people boxes are passive income once
right.
you make that investment, that purchase.
And the other aspect of people boxes is that someone can lend you, 80%, 75% on that.
Yeah,
right?
so I mean, that's what I was so stoked with real estate and Marshall as a partner, right, was the access to loans, money, right, at incredible rates. When we started out, I mean, when we bought the 25-unit building, the rates were 3.5%.
Wow.
And I got 70% loan to value on the deal. And in looking, in comparison to the footwear business, it was always a struggle. It's like, oh well, what's your accounts receivable aging, time period, and we can only lend you 20% or 30% or 40%,
right? Maybe
50 if you're lucky.
Right.
So the access to cash in the footwear business was just so much more difficult, and the time that I put into it wasn't as easily. I wasn't able to cash out as easily, right?
Right.
Like real estate, I've got great loans at great rates, and I'm able to cash out of that thing unless there's some sort of downturn. But I can pretty much cash out all my sweat equity,
right?
Pretty much in 60 days, right? 45 to 60 days.
You've got an asset that's sitting there that you can always turn into cash if you need to. Whereas the footwear business,
is a name, it's a brand, and I've had people approach me and say, oh yeah, and I'll give you $500,000. I'm like, $500,000 is like, to me it's worth more than that, right? But there's no one else that's really values it more than that, right?
Right. And it's harder to sell in real estate, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, and limited market to buy.
And a very limited market, right?
All right.
Shoe business is a small world.
So in 2012, you start getting involved in real estate. You start with Marshall with a fourplex, then a 25 unit building, and then another building.
And we got another building,
yep.
And everything was going pretty well. I thought, this is cool. We inherited some property management businesses that were managing those businesses for the previous owners.
Okay.
And so we just kind of kept them. I said, hey, I don't really know anything about property management, so let's let the pros do it. And I just kind of, just like in the shoe business when I got started, I kind of looked over their shoulder and figured out what the formula was, learned what they were doing. And I kind of said to myself, this is something I can probably do, is property management. I bought the building, now I can definitely
maintain it.
I definitely can maintain it. I'm pretty, handy guy with tools and people, and the decision was finally made on a property on Broadway, and the property management. I went in to renovate. This is the story how I got into property management. Is I went in to renovate. I renovated this property. It was beautiful. We were getting, like, when we bought the building, it was like $800 a month. And I was like, man, if I could get like $1,895, I'd be so stoked, And I think it's worth that because it looks fantastic. Right? It's a 2-bedroom, 1,100 square foot. And I talked to the property management that we inherited on the transaction. I said, hey, like, what do you guys think we can get for this thing?
Right.
It was $800, right? And I'm thinking like $1,895, and they're like, oh no, you can't get any more than $1,695 for that. Jason.
Wow.
And I kind of stepped back and I thought to myself, I said, you know what? These guys got to go. Yeah. These guys got to go down because they don't have the vision. They don't have the dream. They don't have the big picture. They can't foresee what I'm seeing.
Yes.
And I ended up renting that unit on for $23.95.
Holy cow! Yeah, what a difference! Wow.
So I got rid of them, managed it myself. I sold it like a great pair of shoes. Yeah. And I got some great people in that little box, and $23.95. I was like triple the value. Yep. And it was we're. Just to kind of make numbers simple, we were paying like $100,000 a door. We were putting 50 into it, and I was able to triple the rent. So I thought I was like, oh, this is the awesome opportunity. It's kind of like the private label business when it hit me in the face. It's making some money on the private label business.
So you learned from the shoe business and the private label business and really applied those lessons to the real estate business.
Yes.
And like 100%. You said earlier, you've got a box of shoes, now you got a box of people.
Yes.
And the box of people has all these different advantages to it. But without
sometimes those people are a little bit more difficult than the box of shoes, but they usually pay better and it's mailbox money.
Yeah. So you learned a lot from that area, from that business. And applied it.
Yeah, just dealing with people.
So now with the real estate's gone up in value.
It's gone up in value.
Where are you finding opportunities in real estate now?
It's harder and harder now because the market's kind of topped out, in my opinion, value-wise. As an example, we were buying it at $100,000 a door, putting 50 into it. Well, now those properties are $300,000. And you can't really put $50,000 and double or triple the rents or get the return. Right. So, we started looking around, and 2 years ago, I found a parcel of land, and I said, hey, we've done some investment. We're doing some property management. We're doing some remodeling and construction. I've got that pretty well under my belt. I think it's time to kind of take it to the next level, which would be development, right? Mm-hmm. Raw land to units, to building my own little boxes, right? Not just investing in boxes. So I purchased some land, and I'm in the process of building 27 units on 8,600 square feet in downtown Long Beach.
Okay, all right.
And it's a podium construction. It's basically like garage parking floor made of concrete and 4 stories of stick frame construction above that concrete podium construction.
All right. Yeah. So this is your first foray into development now.
Yes.
And this is
I did build a duplex, side-by-side duplex in the shore. Mm-hmm. That was kind of my first development stage in life. And I was able to build a duplex side-by-side townhouse, and then I condominiumized it. I rented it for a while 2008 kind of the numbers were, the market was kind of down. Right. And I ended up selling it two or 3 years ago and pulled my money out of that deal and did all right and got a beautiful house.
Got it. Yeah. But you've learned about the development game, or you're learning about it. And what are some of the lessons you've learned along the way about development? Is it very hard to get into, hard to make work? I think anybody can get into it. It's not easy, and there's a lot of barriers. There's more barriers in the development than I was anticipating. Tell me about that.
The barriers are challenges. I don't know if it's called red tape challenges with the city. I found the regulations is just, I can't even believe it. Everybody's been, we don't have enough inventory, and in Southern California as an example, and I just can't believe how difficult it is to put 27 units into the marketplace. That's inventory.
Politicians are saying we don't have enough affordable housing. Right. And yet they're making it hard for guys like you to make affordable housing.
To sum it up simply, we could have a whole nother hour conversation on this, Don, but to summarize it, there's about $1 million in city fees to put in 27 units.
$1 million of fees just to build before. So you bought land. Now you got to put another $1 million in before you put shovel in the ground.
Yes, yeah. It's and I tell people that number, and they're kind of like blown away. They're like, what are you talking about, Jess? They're like, oh, permits aren't that much. Yeah, you're right. Permits aren't $1 million. Permits are about $500,000 or $600,000 of that $1 million.
Wow.
But then you throw in the public works requirements to improve all the alleyways, the water, the sewer connections, and the one that was really shocking was the Edison fees that I have to pay to improve the infrastructure of Edison utility that I have to cover as a small or private small developer.
Wow.
So you add up all those fees, it's right about $1 million. And what I find, I kind of reverse think it, and I'm like, wow, like if I back out $1 million in costs out of my total project budget, right, at a 4 cap, right. I'm not the best mathematician, but it's about, I would say it's about $300 to $350, I believe, a month in savings per unit for the end consumer.
Per unit to the consumer. So a guy buying.
Now, we might have to check my numbers on it, but roughly.
Roughly. So the people that are going to buy that, what are those 27 units?
Rent.
Well, if they're going to rent that unit.
Yes.
Has to pay how much more per month?
About $300. I think it's about $300 to $350.
They got to pay $350 more a month just to cover the
on a 4 cap. On a 4 cap.
Yeah.
So mine are all single, 1 bedrooms, one bedroom, 1 bath, nice with washer dryers in them. It's all first class stuff. But first class being not the high end current property product offering, but a really nice unit with storage and washer dryer and parking. And if those guys are paying about, our performance is probably about $1,900 a month for these 1 bedrooms.
All right.
Okay. But you back out $300, $350.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, $1,900 is kind of expensive, in my opinion.
Sure.
Right. But $1,600, it's more affordable. It's an affordable unit, so the city, what is it, like 30%? I mean, it's a crazy number that the city or the state has to take to make it happen, and it's just kind of that kind of is really confusing or blows me away, I guess.
So they're talking about affordable housing, and yet they're creating non-affordable housing by making you charge more to cover your permits and fees that you've had to pay to build a place for someone to live.
Yes.
Wow.
That's much needed.
That's much needed. You're right. I mean, you're talking about how much.
It seems like they should be begging guys like myself or other developers to come in. Oh, hey, we're going to waive those public work fees. We're going to redo the public work, the alleyways.
Yeah.
Or Edison should be like, oh, we got that covered. Don't worry about it. We're so happy that you're coming in here to improve this neighborhood, right? Or add 27 more new units to this neighborhood with parking.
Or let's not get a conversation about rent control and how that's going to keep things going on. That's a whole other conversation too. All right. Well, Jesse, so fascinating. So you've gone into from shoe business to branded shoe business, to then the real estate investment business, to the real estate development business, and you said your wife is a broker also.
Yes, my wife. I kind of wanted to get my real estate license because I'm a shoe salesman, but I realized I need to have these relationships with other real estate agents and brokers.
Right.
And if I'm one of them, then they probably won't talk to me.
That's right.
And I learned that from my buddy Ed Arnold. So I said, hey wife, I think you got to get your real estate license.
Yeah.
And I think you got to get your broker's license because we need it to be able to manage our properties and other people's properties.
Right.
So yeah, we do have that, but I kind of keep that undercover because I don't want other brokers knowing that I have that. But in some and I'm happy to pay a commission. It's not that I don't want to pay a commission. I just don't want them to be afraid of me.
Sure, like a conflict of interest.
The conflict, because I'm not going to go around them.
Right.
I'm happy to pay somebody a commission if they bring me a deal. I think anybody is, right?
Of course, if there's money out there. And so now then the challenge you were telling me earlier, that one of the challenges you have then is having access to capital when the right opportunity comes up.
Yeah. So there's I've got some older partners, right? And their mindset's a little bit different, or they're in a different place.
Stage of life.
Yeah, different stage in life, right? Yeah. They're a little bit more conservative. I'm a little bit younger. I want to keep going and growing and pushing. And my partners are more retired. They don't want to take the risk. They want to keep the debt low.
Sure.
And I do think that's very important to keep the debt low on deals. But when the right opportunity comes, as a new development, 27 units, and we got to be ready to go.
Right.
And I'm always looking for cash, availability.
So anyone listening to the show right now that may like your story and want to invest with you, if the right opportunity comes up, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of me is, email me. It's jesse@howardpacific.com. That's JESSE at Howard, HOWARD, Pacific, PACIFIC.com. Shoot me an email and let me know. Opportunities come and go.
Right.
And timing of deals is, that's the opportunity. A lot of the times, if you don't have the right timing or the money lined up at the right time,
right,
the deal's gone.
Yes. Yep.
But and they come and go. But if you can identify the deal and you have the access to funds, then you can definitely make things happen.
Great, fantastic, Jesse. Thanks so much for your time. It's been a great,
appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Don.
Great story to hear. All
Thank
right,
you.
Thanks, Jesse. All right. Hey, thanks for listening to My Company Story. We have new episodes coming out every week, so please subscribe if you like this. And if you'd like to hear previous episodes, you can go to mycompanystory.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, if you or someone you know would be interested in coming on the show, please email me at don@burge.com. Thanks for listening.